Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing another premiere draft of Phyrexia All Will Be One. Without further ado, let's get into our Pack 1, Pick 1. Our rare is not the greatest, Rhea of Evor, I have no idea how you pronounce that. Bane of Bladehold, 3-4 with Battle Cry, so gives your whole board +1/+0 every time they attack. It's like fine, but it's not really worth jumping into two colors right off the bat for, in my opinion. And the prevent damage to make more mites ability is interesting, but again, not really worth that. None of our uncommons are great. Paladin is probably the strongest, but it is 7 mana, which is kind of a hard sell in this format. The other two are kind of slow and dirtily, and I don't really love any of the commons either. Engraver is a solid 2-drop because it gives us that card filtering later in the game, and Duelist is just a solid 2-drop because of the first strike during your turn. Predation's fine as a removal spell. Honestly, for me, it's between Duelist, Predation, and Axiom Engraver, and none of those are super exciting, but I guess I'll just go with Duelist, take one of the best 2-mana cards in white, because 2-drop creatures are just really important in this format. So for Pack 1, Pick 2, we have Ichorplate Golem, which is a great inclusion to any oil deck, particularly green-red being the strongest place for this card. There's also Nimrazor Paladin, a very good value play for any black deck. And then some pretty premium commons. We have the Batterfist being excellent for any red deck in the format. Again, you want to take 2-drops super highly. Maybe even to the point where I'd take Batterfist over Paladin, but probably not. I'm probably still going Paladin here. The other option being Oil Gorger Troll at common, being really good for, again, green-red oil or green-blue oil. And Eye of Malcator actually has been very impressive for Blue's aggressive artifact-focused decks, which I think are the best thing you can be doing in Blue. So, as I said before, I'm going to stick to this Nimrazor Paladin, but I could see a pretty legitimate argument for Batterfist, but I think it's probably between those two. I'm going to take the Nimrazor Paladin here, though. If we get to play both of these colors, we can potentially be a black-white toxic / black-white corrupted deck, where both of these cards will synergize together quite well. For Pack 1, Pick 3... we don't have any great follow-ups to those. We have Testament Bearer, Whisper of the Dross, Sinew Dancer, and Lightbringer on color. All of these are fine, but not really cards I want to be taking Pick 3. These are definitely for much later down the pack, like pick 7, Pick 8, honestly. Whereas in red and green, we have some premium commons, Chimney Rabble and Lattice Blade Mantis, both being really, really good for those colors. I am passing a bunch of Oil Gorgers, and we did get past a Batterfist at least for red, so very, very early to try to be reading signals, but if I had to guess, I would say red will be probably a tiny bit more open than green, so we'll prioritize the red card there. And nothing in white or black here. Orthodoxy Enforcer is very filler, and Duress is pretty much unplayable, so we take the Furnace Strider in red here. Kind of won the lottery on that red versus green pick there. Although I guess Atrocity would not have been horrible if we took the green card. So, Furnace Strider, one of the best cards in the whole pack. Outside of that, there's like Quicksilver Fisher's pretty good in blue. There's a lot of blue cards here, but that's not necessarily a huge signal for blue because 2 of them are literally unplayable, Encroaching Mycosynth and Font of Progress. Just vanish these from your sight completely, and that's what the pack actually looks like. Meldweb Strider is also incredibly filler, so in blue there's just Eye of Malcator and Quicksilver Fisher, but I do like both those cards. But yeah, Furnace Strider's the best in the pack, we'll just take it. Well, Lattice Blade Mantis pretty late. I guess it's only Pick 5, it's not that late. This could be a good sign for green-red oil, that there's still a Mantis there. Maybe we'll get green from the right, we're definitely not going to get it from the left based on how much green we've passed so far. Sawblade Scamp would also be okay if I want to just keep taking red cards here. This is a fine card for the oil-focused decks. Not the greatest card style ever, but pretty fine card for oil decks. I'm just going to take Lattice Blade Mantis, though. Much more of a premium card. Mandible Justiciar is actually a really, really good card for artifact aggro decks, so particularly in blue-white it's very good, but it's nice in blue... or in white-red as well, because you have all of your equipment with 4 Mirrodin. I'm actually a little interested in maybe taking this over the Predation Steward, being 2 cards deep into white, just 2 of white's best 2-drop creatures here. Okay, now we have Bladegraft Aspirant for the red-white artifacts deck. These green cards are not great for the green-red archetype. there's just better 6-drops, and the 2-drop doesn't synergize in any way. Almost want to just take Gold Warden's Helm. It's just a very good 4-mirrored in equipment. But it could be Aspirant here. I don't think I take the second Furnace Strider this early, because we just can't have too many 5 and 6 mana cards. Like, the first and second Furnace Strider I'm pretty happy with, but if I get like a third and fourth, that's a bit much. I'm going to take Gold Warden's Helm here. Like the card a lot, and there we go. Pick 8, Bladehold Warwhip. We are confident we can be in the red-white equipment deck in this draft pod, and that is certainly the place to be. A 3-mana 2/2 double strike synergizes really well with cards like Mandible Justiciar and Bladegraft Aspirant, stuff like that. Slam Dunk the Warwhip, and now we get Bardiche super late as well as Engraver, 2 very solid options for us. Probably take another 2-mana creature, can't have enough of those. Bardiches would be great late pickups for us, but we should be able to get them, because I don't think many other decks will want that, whereas Engraver is a solid inclusion to any red deck for that card filtering in the late game. This looks like a really excellent way to start the draft. We don't have any interaction, we're entirely creatures right now. Wow, and we wield the Batterfist. I was considering taking this pick 2, and we got it all the way back pick 10. This is going to be a very good draft pod to be in the red-white equipment deck. Gleeful Demolition is actually fine in this color pair because you can blow up your 4-mirrored in equipment to get 3 1/1s, and if your opponent has a good artifact, you can just blow up their artifact instead. So I like the main deck flexibility of it. Lightbringer's also just fine in the color pair with some cheap 4-mirrored in equipment. You can give it +1/+1 pretty easily, but it's not super exciting. I'll take the Demolition because it's a little more fun, and we did get the Bardiche. And last pick, Rebuke. Really happy with where I'm at, outside of opening up an Incredible Bomb rare that's basically impossible to splash in because it's double green if you pay 4 life to cast it, and otherwise it's triple or quadruple green. Not exactly a splashable card, and we know that our color pair is tremendously open to just be a very powerful, very lean, aggressive strategy. So the objectively correct pick is to ignore this Nissa. And that's what I'm going to do, taking Hexgold Slash here. We just know that our color pair is open. We're a lean, aggressive deck. We don't want to muddy up our mana base trying to splash something, especially when it's a double green card at best. If I was just trying to play for fun, I could take this Nissa and then move the Mantis back in and try to swap to red-green or white-green. But red-white, I think, is the place to be in this draft pod, and we're going to stick to it. Pack 2, pick 2, we now have an Aspirant to add in, or a Furnace Punisher. I think Aspirant is a little more likely to wheel, although Furnace Punisher might just get the cut, because we already have Helm and Warwhip that we're definitely not going to cut. I don't think we'd cut an Aspirant either. Yeah, we'll take Bladegraft Aspirant. Graz is not super playable, 8 mana is just super hard to get to, and there's some downsides. If you're trying to be on the defensive, this card isn't going to be the most helpful, because you're forced into attacking with everybody. Ideally, though, you have enough creatures to kill them when you play it, but still kind of a risk-reward card in multiple ways. Risky in that you have to make it to 8 mana, but also risky in that you can't hold up blockers. Crescendo's fun, Engraver's fun. Those are the best cards here for us. Move our non-creature stuff into a pile. Actually doing really good on 2-drops right now. We have 4 of them. Kind of play infinite of them though, but I think I'm still taking Blazing Crescendo. Yeah, hopefully more like Batterfists for the 2-drops for this archetype, for this deck. Well, a little awkward. I guess we're not really getting the hookup pack 2. Maybe it must just be in pack 3 then. I mean, I guess we could have just been on the Nissa train. Got a Vorak here. But hey, there's Axiom Engraver, there's Flensing Raptor, there's Hexgold Hoverwings actually, which is probably the pick. 4 mana for a 3/2 flyer, and all of your equipped creatures get +1/+0, and you can move this equipment around to give different creature flying. So yeah, Hoverwings seems actually the best here. Very good card for us. Alright, Lightbringer's fine. Ooh, Indoctrination Attendant actually really good. We're going to cut this Enforcer pretty much for sure. So Justiciar versus Indoctrination Attendant is super difficult. I think Helm's a little worse than both of those. Justicia, again, really good lifelinker on curve that you can start suiting all your equipment up onto. That also gets buffed when you play the equipment, but Attendant, such a great value play later in the game because you play it, pick up your equipment, and replay it to get another 2/2 attached. So I'm pretty into the Attendant. I'm going to take it there. I don't think we have much when it comes to Toxic. It does not say on this menu. We've got the Duelist of Deep Faith. I think that's it. Duelist and Attendant. We have 2 creatures with Toxic, so we're not actually drawing a card off of Complete Devotion very often. So Engraver is just the better card for us. Free from Flesh is a fine trick. I just really like this Blazing Crescendo though, and I'd like to leave it at that. We could be a Plated Onslaught deck. We have a lot of creatures and a lot of artifacts, just because of all the 4 Mirrodin equipment. Yeah, I already have 2 5-mana cards, so we'll take Plated Onslaught over the second Bardiche. But this could be a pretty cheap way to give our whole board +2/+1 and find lethal out of nowhere, with a pretty wide attack. Alright, so early in the pack it did look like there were some pretty solid green cards. We could have had a decent pivot towards green, but still feeling like we're in the best archetype to be in here in our seat at the draft. Furnace Punisher was the only playable red card that we passed. It was just these 2, and they both came back, so that's an excellent sign. No one took a red card out of that pack. Another Rebuke, but that's super slow. I'd almost rather have Furnace, but I have not loved these lands. I've actually been punished a lot for playing tap lands. But I don't think I'm playing 2 Rebukes, so we'll play 1 Furnace. In time to see what we're going to get in pack 3. Not super worried about it. We already have 20 very nice, just a very nice 20 card deck. We just need 3 more playables, and any more we get after that are going to be entirely focused on just improving the deck from there. So Cacophony Scamp's pretty nice in this archetype. We can suit it up with equipment so that when it dies it does even more damage. We don't have a lot of equipment that give it extra power, but with Barbed Batterfist it's very cute because we give it +1/-1. It will then instantly die and deal 2 to whatever target we need. So Scamp seems like the best inclusion here. Sorry, Blue Sun's Twilight. Another off-color card that requires 2 of its colors, so we're just not going to get there. Another Barbed Batterfist is just so premium for this deck. That's an easy scoop up. We're not a good Flensing Raptor deck. We don't have very many toxic creatures, so Batterfist it is. Do have a lot of cards that care about artifacts and equipment and 2-drop creatures. Speaking of 2-drop creatures, I think I'm taking Duelist of Deep Faith here. Another Gleeful Demolition would be okay, Lightbringer would be okay, but we're going to focus up on just getting more 2-drops. And Zealot's pretty bad in here, need toxic creatures for it. Yep, Duelist pretty easily. Another Scamp. Now that we have 2 Batterfists, we have multiple ways to turn those into shocks, which is fun. Multiple ways to turn those into 2 damage. Probably playing 16 lands with this deck, so this is our 24 card deck. So we'll start cutting a card every time we draft a card now. Definitely a pod where we get to deck build as we go. As much as I love an Exuberant Fuseling here, because it just gets bigger and bigger as the game progresses, scales very well, or another Aspirant, as much as I would love those, we're very low on cheap interaction, and Planar Disruption's pretty good cheap interaction. A 2-mana way to pacify an artifact creature or planeswalker, shut off all its activated abilities, and its ability to attack or block, so gotta be Disruption here. We gotta get more cheap ways to stop blockers. And hey, told you we're in the correct color pair. There is a pick 6 Bladehold War Whip here, and we'll be very happy to slam that into the deck. Oh my god, another Barbed Batterfist. This is just the number 1 2-drop for the deck. We're going to take it over another Chimney Rabble, as good as that would be. We have 3 pretty great 4-mana cards. So take our 3rd Batterfist. We might be cutting Engravers here. Maybe Lightbringer. Focus on our most aggressive creatures. Another Engraver versus a Sinnoh Dancer. Sinnoh Dancer's unplayable here. We can't corrupt our opponent. We'll just take another Engraver and have the option. Alright, I guess we'll figure it out later. We're just gonna have a very flooded out deck. Just tons and tons of options. I guess I'll go ahead and put the Enforcer back in and the Custodian, and we'll go over all the cuts later. Well, I'm not going to play Conviction, I'm not going to play Cackler, I'm not going to play Custodian. I guess Conviction's the most likely. But we'll almost definitely cut that. Same with Free From Flesh. Yeah, I'm not going to play Thrill of Possibility in here. I don't think we're going to want double Gleeful Demolition, but we're not going to want a Thrill or a Rebuke either. More nonsense. I guess we'll take one Thrill as an option. That's going to get insta-cut. And hey, a second Aspirant. We could actually have some fun with that. Same with the Skull Bomb. Those are options for the deck. Again, we have so many cards, though, that we have to cut a lot of stuff, so we're probably going to end up cutting that Skull Bomb. Let's see here. Alright, so taking a look at the deck here, I think we want to just streamline this and try to get it as aggressive as possible. Got tons of just good, cheap, aggressive creatures. So try to lower the curve, cut a land here, focus up on those high power, low mana value cards. So, don't like Rebuke much. We try to focus on the cheaper removal. We don't have a ton of it, but we have Hex, Gold Slash, and Planar Disruption. Then we can use a few combat tricks potentially. So Rebuke feels pretty slow here. I do like having at least one thing at the top end, one big hasty threat like Furnace Strider. So like that. Bardiche is also fine, but our next slowest card, and if I'm going to go really lean here, I think Plated Onslaught would be a nice finisher when we've got a wide board state. Cast this pretty early with all the artifacts on board. Go ahead and cut one land. We'll decide between the colors later. The main point is dropping that down to 16 right now. At 4 mana, Hover Wings is just incredible for the archetype. Rabble is just a great card. Enforcer, more of a high toughness, slow kind of card. We do have enough artifacts we can trigger this sometimes, but not all the time, so it feels a little risky, because when we're not triggering this is just very, very slow for the deck. Whereas Attendant is another card with very good synergy, picking up 4 Mirrodin equipment. We'll cut that for sure as well. Bardiche is still a maybe, but it's definitely on the chopping block. At 3 mana now, we have the War Whips Slam Dunk Insta Inclusions. Gold Warden's Helm, we have enough of these 4 Mirrodin equipment that we could cut some of the weaker, kind of slower ones, and Gold Warden's Helm kind of fits in that same category with the Bardiche. You know, 3 mana 2/3 versus all my 3 mana 2/2 double strikes, 2 mana 3/1s that I'm getting off of these other equipment. It's just a lot slower. Still gives us good value with cards like Attendant and Aspirant and stuff like that, but one of the slowest ones. Mirror Custodian fits under that same category, just a very slow, dirtily creature, a 3 mana 2/3, not very high power, not evasive in any way. But our other 3 mana creatures, Furnace Punisher, nice evasive, sturdy card. Aspirants are evasive and can be targeted cheaper. The Lightbringer, kind of low toughness for the mana cost, only 2 toughness for 3. I don't think the ward super makes up for that, and this doesn't work exactly how you'd want it to. It just gets +1/+1 if it's equipped at all. If you put like 3 equipment on it, it still only gets that +1/+1. I'm not very impressed by that card. If I'm cutting a 3-drop, I'll cut that one. And then just have all these menace cards, so we have evasive threats to slap like Double Strike or Flying onto, and really get a lot of damage in with those. So focus up on the hard-to-block creatures there at 3 mana. We get to 2 mana. I don't think we want Thrill of Possibility. We want to be aggressive enough that most games are ending when we've just dumped our whole hand. We don't really need to be focusing on too much late game card draw. Filtering through lands for other cards, it's not what we want to be doing here. That's not a position we ever want to be in. Whereas Blazing Crescendo is a combat trick that can help us get over some large blockers. That also does fit that kind of card draw category. So it's like doing 2 things at once for us. So this is fine. I think I'll keep it in for now. This is a borderline, maybe. Not quite, though. I'm going to put on like the left side of the lands as probably staying in, and these are like probably getting cut. Batterfists, 100% staying in. Planar Disruption, 100% staying in. Engravers are on that like borderline, maybe, in that they are like 1/3s for 2, so they're not going to attack very well. They're a lot better with the 3 Batterfists, though, because we can turn them into 2/2s, and those will actually be getting into combat and attacking our opponent. So that seems pretty fine. Again, we do have a lot of creatures, a lot of artifacts for our Mandible Justiciar, so I think it's going to stay in and do some decent work. Same with the Duelists, just 2 mana 2/2s. On curve, Cacophony Scamps on turn 1 are fine and very good with the Batter Fists. I guess Justiciar probably like along the lines of Engraver. But I want a lot of these 2-drops, but our best ones are our 3 Batter Fist. So 3 Batter Fists, 2 Duelist, 1 Justiciar, that's 6 of them. Yeah, Engravers are on the chopping block. Hexgold Slash is one of the best spells in the whole deck. That's just slam dunk staying in. Gleeful Demolition. This one's interesting. A lot of fun to play around with. I'm going to keep at least 1 copy in. I'll cut 1, but I'll leave 1 in. This one's just really fun in this archetype. Being able to have that main deck artifact removal, and then sometimes you're just like, I'm just going to blow up my Batter Fist and make 3 1/1s and then try to kill you with my Plated Onslaught. So I want to play at least 1 copy of this because it's pretty fun, but I don't think we want multiples because drawing multiple in a matchup where our opponent doesn't play any artifacts is going to be pretty rough. If I draw 1 copy and my opponent doesn't play any artifacts, then it's easy enough to have a random Batter Fist sitting around. But that's my most expendable artifact. I don't really want to blow up a War Whip or a Hover Wings, ideally. Whereas if I play a matchup where my opponent doesn't have an artifact sitting around and then I draw 2 copies of this, like I can blow up 1 Batter Fist at some point, but then the second copy is really going to sit there doing nothing. So I'm just going to cut down to 1 of that. Free from Flesh, I like the Blazing Crescendo better. Same with Zealot's Conviction, so I'm just going to cut those 2 kind of just right now. And kind of the same with the Skull Bomb. Sort of combat tricky way to maybe chip in for extra damage. But it does it at sorcery speed, which is pretty slow. It draws a card when it does it, but so does Crescendo, which does it at instant speed. So cut Skull Bomb. And now I need to cut 3 more cards still. So some combination of the maybes, Bardiche, Helm, and Engraver, will be the final 3 cuts. So we have 2 1-mana creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2-mana creatures. That's 8 creatures we can play turn 2 or sooner. I feel like I still want at least 1 more. I think I'll cut 2 Engravers and keep 1 in, and then cut 1 between Gold Warden's Helm and Bardiche. How many creatures do we have total, by the way? We do need to make sure we're at like 17, a really aggressive high creature count for this deck, ideally. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm about to put a 19th back in. Alright, that's plenty. That's good. Don't know what I want to pick between those 2. I'm almost tempted to put that second Engraver back in over Helm and Bardiche. Because I still have 6 equipment with 4 Mirrodin to work with Indoctrination Attendant and Bladegraft Aspirant, Mandible Justiciar, and Plated Onslaught. Like, I still feel like I have plenty equipment without these 2, and these are just the weakest 2. I can just play another Engraver, and then they're better in this deck at attacking than usual because we still, again, have those 6 other equipment we can move onto these. And these just really make sure we don't flood out in the late game, which is solid. I guess we have that high enough creature count, as I was saying. I could cut both of these equipment and then throw one of the combat tricks back in. Like, I'm not going to put in the second Gleeful Demolition, but I guess I could put in a Free from Flesh or a Zealot's Conviction here. Those just don't feel great, though. I think I'm just going to go for the second Engraver. I think it's just good with Batter Fist. With the Batter Fists. Great for late game looting. Yeah. Looks like a pretty sweet, pretty fun deck, and that's how we're going to build it. How's the mana base looking, though? 17 red cards, 9 white. We're at a 9-7 split. 2 of the Plated Onslaught costing double white. A little awkward there. No double red cards? Yeah, we'll drop down to 8-8. Nice and even if I have no double red cards in the deck. Yeah. I think we'll call it a deck there. Alright, here's a look at the deck we're going to be playing today. This is a Boros Equipments deck, a red-white Equipments deck here with all the premium cards. A couple Bladehold War Whips being very, very powerful. A 3-mana 2/2 double striker that we can move the equipment around later onto other creatures. The Hexgold Hoverwings as well, another premium uncommon for the archetype, giving all of our equipped creatures +1/+0, and the one that's equipped with this flying. A few Barbed Batterfists, the very, very good 2-drop for the archetype. Again, just comes with a creature, and then we move the equipment around later for good value. Tons of solid evasive creatures, like a few Aspirants and a Punisher for menacing cards to slap equipment onto. We have Indoctrination Attendant to pick up one of our equipment, and then recast it, get another 2/2 attached to them. So that's very good. Furnace Strider at the top end to haste in for some final damage. Chimney Rabble as well, haste in for some damage while holding a blocker up. And that Goblin, of course, can start picking up some potential equipment like Double Strike, ++0 flying, something like that. And then we also have a Plated Onslaught. We've got a pretty dang high creature count here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, basically, with all the 4 mirrored and equipment. So this can be a huge way to end the game. If our board state is wider than our opponent's, this should get some extra points of damage in, and we can cast it for even cheaper than its mana cost because we have 1 artifact creature and 6 equipment in this deck, so that'll be pretty sweet. And then we have the rest of what you want in your aggro decks. We've got 1 premium white removal spell, 1 premium red removal spell, and a nice little combat trick, and a way to potentially blow up an opposing artifact. And if our opponent doesn't have a good one, we can just blow up our own Batterfist and turn it into some 1/1s to buff up with Onslaught or something. So pretty spicy deck today. Very happy with how this deck is looking, but I'm very excited to see how it does as we head into the gameplay. Here we are in game 1. We've got Duelist of Deep Faith and Planar Disruption. I have to hit a red source, otherwise I'm stuck on just 2 cards. Feels risky here. I mean, the curve is pretty solid if I do hit that mountain, and we are on the draw, giving us another opportunity to do so. We go Duelist into Aspirant, into Disrupt, into Strider for 2, 3, 4, 5 ideally. Super close. I think I'm gonna keep this one. Very close to a mulligan though. And there you go. Sometimes you just hit the red source immediately. Playing against another red-white deck. It's the mirror match, but our opponent is on the play, giving them the advantage here. Play the Engraver since it can actually block of the 2/2 first strike. Keep that off of us. Snap block. They probably have the +2/+2 draw a card trick, but they'll have that whenever. Just get it out of the way now on our 2-drop creature instead of anything bigger. Hex Gold Slash. Okay, that's very fine as well. Spend a removal spell to kill our creature. A second Duelist of Deep Faith? Not very into that. I think we go Aspirant here. It's big enough to block a Duelist without dying. If I go for the War Whip, it would be a trade into a Duelist. Cross our fingers, hope for no additional removal or combat tricks here. Again, we're on the back foot here just by being on the draw. We're going to have to make all these blocks. And luckily for us, yeah, they're not going to push in there. So now, thanks to having played the Aspirant, we can play the War Whip and Disruption. I think I am on the War Whip here. I do wish I had doubled red so I could War Whip and hold up Crescendo. I think that would be our best bet. But War Whip and Duelist or War Whip and Disruption are fine as well. I'm not even sure what I want to disrupt right now, so I think I just play the Whip and the Nene of Deep Faith. We just pass the turn. Just gonna trade 2/2 double strikers here. Well, there's the 5 mana. Volshock Splitter is the play. Feel like disrupting the War Whip is a relatively strong line. It still doesn't feel the greatest, because they did get a creature and the equipment off of it, but moving Double Strike around is just pretty huge. Play my Duelist. Block and trade there. Block there. Yeah, I've got blocks set up. Play another duelist and pass. Oh, if they have the Indoctrination Attendant to pick up that War Whip, that's going to be disgusting in this matchup. But that would be pretty nasty on anything that we put a disruption on. I think we have to take the 3 damage from the Chimney Rabble. Drop our Furnace Strider. Am I still trying to block here? They only have 1 card in hand. They haven't been playing any combat tricks. How well does a 4/5 block? They can put Splitter on Rabble and hit for 5. Don't have any blocks for that regardless. This already blocks a Duelist. Blocks a Goblin. Might actually attack with Strider and Duelist here. Kind of going to be a scary game here because it's a pretty big race. Alright, we're going to trade a Duelist off. This is fine. Could not have traded a Duelist off on blocks, so we're pretty good with that. Alright, Splitter onto their Duelist. They crack in for 7 here. Yep. Down to 10. Doom Mover off the top. Four mana to put this onto my Aspirant, 5 mana to put it onto the Strider. I don't have double red either way. Got an exact even split on white and red. This has been a really awkward draw. To hit 5 white before the second red. I don't know if it's better to hold up Crescendo or move the whip here. I might have to just hold up blocks now. I guess I kind of have to just hold up blocks now. I'm gonna hold up the Crescendo so they, even if they put Splitter on Rabble, we can Crescendo and block with Strider. If I had double red, I'd have a lot of options. Being able to move the whip and hold up Crescendo, I think I could actually like go for an attack there. Yeah, luckily they do just pass the turn here. I go full control here. Trying to go full control here. Kind of act like we still have a combat trick. I guess Furnace Strider already does that, so we're fine. 2 mana Hexgold Hoverwings? Okay. Hover, if I get something flying and double strike and then I Crescendo it, that could find lethal out of nowhere, even past a Skywarden, because I could put it on a reach, or on a menace creature. Creatures you control that are equipped get +1/+0. I can make Aspirant a 3/3, make it 6 power, double strike. It's not going to be enough to kill them. It would have to be, I'd have to be able to get Strider to actually connect to their face, which is going to be difficult. To kill them in 1 double striking shot. I'd need another red as well, because I have to spend all the red mana to put that on Strider and have the red up to Crescendo the Strider. Giving all my equipped creatures +1 is really good here. And I can only do it on the aspirants because this costs 5. The aspirants only reduce the cost of equipment that target them. So I think we have to put that on something right now and then pass. Get that +1/+0 and double strike. Pretty large benefit there. This is gonna be a close one. They've got a lot of stuff on board. We've got a lot of stuff on board. Feels like if they draw a pretty sweet removal spell or combat trick, everything could kind of collapse for us. Or if they make like a relatively bad block somewhere, things could collapse for them. Find lethal out of nowhere or something. Well, I'm not going to have the mana to put all my equipment on Strider, but they attack with Skywarden. And I guess if I moved Hoverwings last turn, I would have had the mana to put this on there. So if I top decked Mountain, I could have killed them. They chose to attack with Skywarden still, but they wouldn't have, because then this would have been big enough to single-handedly 1-for-1 trade. I think I have to double block with these two onto the Skywarden. I really don't love our options for blocking here. I would just be letting the Duelist in and taking 4 to the face. My only... they have to have a trick here, otherwise... Yeah, they just drew into a combat trick of some kind here, and there's not much we can do about it. I guess they can only use it on one of these combats. So somewhere we win a fight, unless they got +2/+1 to everybody, but if they got that, we're dead either way, because if I just don't block, I die. And if I double chump block, then the board state is widely in my opponent's favor. Zealot's Conviction, throw that there, alright. Please tell me that's the only trick. Cool, so we kill the Skywarden. I guess I could have just single blocked the Skywarden, I didn't need to throw the other aspirant there. Because it had double strike. Well, that wasn't excellent for me, but at least it wasn't like a double combat trick. The things would have been super bad. There's Hexgold Slash, which would be sweet if I had a second red source. I'm like halfway through my deck and I've drawn 1 red source, which is really punishing us quite hard. If my opponent doesn't draw removal, then our best bet is to throw the whip on our flyer and hit them for 6, and then kill them in the sky next turn. 6 this turn and 12 next turn. It's a tremendously risky play, because I chump the Duelist and take 3, 4, 5, 6. They could even move this equipment to that, and then I chump a 3/3, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I go to like 3 life, so I die to Volt Charge. Die to Volt Charge anyway, because if they hit any removal, we have like no creatures left. It's straight up our only option, is to hope they have nothing, and attack them twice with this double striking flyer. And that's where we're at. They have a removal spell, if they have a combat trick, if they have a flyer, those are the 3 things that could kill us. If they just have another creature to play on the ground, we're fine. If they just hit another land, we're fine. But removal spell or combat trick, we're dead. Then if they have a flyer, then we die unless we top deck a mountain. Alright, stop all the damage we can. Take 6, we're down to 4. There's a flyer, but Hexgold Slash actually isn't big enough to kill that, because it's not toxic. So it doesn't matter. Even if I top deck a mountain, I can't win now. It's just too high toughness. I could hit Gleeful Demolition off of Blazing Crescendo, but that is my only out. Or if my opponent just doesn't block this, but there is no universe in which they choose not to block here. Because they know they're cracking back for 7. And this has double strike, so they're just dying to a combat. There's no world in which they don't block here. Where there is a world, a 1 in 22 chance where I draw my artifact removal and just blow up the glider. Yep, I have to hit Gleeful Demolition. Let's see. Justiciar is not that. They are forced into a chump here, and then I can lifelink block one of their creatures, and then I'm still somewhat alive? I guess I am moderately in it here. I have one more turn to draw into a kill. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's wait till combat's done. 3 mana to move this to the Justiciar. 1 mana to Hex Gold Slash. If this were 2 mana to move, I think I'd do it here, but I think I need to hold up Slash so I can kill the Goblin if they buff that up with the Splitter. But I'm probably going to Slash the Duelist and trade into the Goblin. Nice. We take 3, but we gain 2. Go to 3 life. I need to draw a creature. Batterfist is a creature. Trades into the rabble as well. Hit for 6. Drop a Batterfist. Could even move Double Strike to it. Oh, I was actually wrong. This only cost 2 mana because this made it cheaper. I could have moved my equipment last turn and gained 1 more life, so I should have done that. I forgot this thing reduces the equipment no matter where you're activating them. So it could have been at 4 life here, which would put me alive against Volt Charge. Still dead to Rabble with a Volshock Splitter on it. They scoop them up, they don't find an out there, and the incredibly close game 1 is going to end in our favor. We're going to be 1-0 heading into game 2. One quick adjustment to the deck before we head into round 2. I did decide to go back to a 9 mountain, 7 plain split because while we don't have any double red cards, missing on a second red source to stop us from casting 2 red cards in 1 turn was very detrimental last game. So to help kind of avoid that, keep that red count pretty high, and then just every now and then we won't be able to play Plated Onslaught as early as we want to, but should still be able to play it late in the game as a finisher. So this seems fine to me, going 9 mountains, 7 plains. So here we are in game 2 with a definite mulligan. We need a mountain immediately, or we're doing nothing till turn 4. I guess I do get to start doing things as soon as I hit a mountain, but gonna take some time. I'm gonna mulligan here. This is a lot better. We'll keep this and get rid of probably the aspirant here. We don't have any equipment to synergize with it in hand, so just duelist into Punisher, largest curve, and keep a removal spell in the hand. Opponent is on red. And look, we've top decked aspirant number 2. 1 on top and 1 on bottom. Very cute. Axiom Engraver is going to start things from our opponents. Comes with 2 oil counters that they can use to discard cards and draw cards. Mono red so far, 3 mountains from our opponent for their first 3 lands, and there's a Bladecraft Aspirant of their own, so I'm gonna guess we're on another mirror match. Hey, Bladehold Warwhip. You are an interesting card here. I don't think I'm casting it, but that may make me want to play Aspirant first, so I can play Warwhip and Disruption next turn if I need to disrupt something. Yeah, I mean a 3-3 Menace and a 2-3 Menace are attacking pretty much just as well against a 2-3 and a 1-3, so... Let's get the Aspirant down, make the Warwhip cheaper. Our opponent is on red-green. They've discarded an Infectious Bite to draw a card. And they do not hit a land this turn. It might be worth it, for tempo reasons, while they're stuck on mana, to just disrupt the Aspirant and start beating down. They the Disruption and the Warwhip this turn. I think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to get aggressive here. Try to punish them while they're stumbling on mana. As much damage as we can in now. There's a Volt Charge on Aspirant, that's fine. Proliferate onto the Engraver, and they have the blocker for the Duelist. Discard a Conduit of Worlds, draw a card. And there's the green source, and now is when we're going to start having some issues. Green-red is the strongest color pair in the format by a bit, mainly because it has some of the beefiest creatures on curve, as well as plenty of 2-for-1 value plays. Creatures that like draw a card when they hit the board, or creatures that destroy one of my creatures when they hit the board, stuff like that. Ruthless Predation is the play. Gonna go ahead and get rid of our Rebel token that has a whip on it. Not the worst for us. Mainly just over here hoping they don't play any super beefy threats. Punisher plus Crescendo this turn seems fine to me, but I don't really want a Crescendo just to kill an Engraver, so I'm probably just going to play Punisher. I'm not going to spend the turn putting the whip on the Duelist. Let's just play the Punisher and hold up the Crescendo. Like I could, I guess, go for the tempo of just clearing the Engraver out of the way with this. But the odds of my opponent not playing like a big blocker this turn are super low. And then we can use the Crescendo on that instead. Yep, there's a big old Furnace Strider. Send in the squad, move the whip post-combat, I guess. Yeah, Hexgold Slash is an option as well. Double block on Punisher would actually be their best block here. I wouldn't be a huge fan of that. We would just kill the Strider. At least the Crescendo replaces itself by drawing another card, but Punisher would definitely die. I guess I could kill both if I throw my Hexgold Slash at the Engraver as well, but that doesn't seem the best. They are going to go for the double block here, and we will kill the Punisher, or kill the Furnace Strider and see what we hit off our Crescendo. Plains. Alright, so we kill Furnace Strider then. Could kill this Engraver, but it's just not a big deal. Incubation Sac is a massive deal. That is one of those 2-for-1 kind of value plays I was talking about, where they're going to get 3/3/3s off of one card, so it's a 3-for-1 in their favor here. They basically just drawn 3 creatures in a row now while I'm top decking. That is really bad for us in this position. I'm going to have to throw a Hexgold Slash at this thing just to keep something on the board. And then you're just going to get more 3/3s. Not looking like a very winnable game right now. There's a Lattice Blade Mantis, very big attacker. Basically attacks as a 5/4, so we can still trade Duelist into it on blocks. Thanks to the double strike. These are not the draws we're looking for, unfortunately. Been Jedi mind tricked by Magic Arena again. They have a combat trick now. I'm drawn into. Yep. Can't just take 8 there. There's Gleeful Demolition now that the sack has given them all of their golems. I guess I can still blow up 1/3/3 with it, so this is still technically a fine removal spell here, but we've just fallen too far behind. I'm just going to move on. Alright, here we are now for game 3. Definite keep here. Very nice turn 2 play. Into the turn 4 Hoverwings plays really well with that Batter Fist. Turn 1 Cultivator from our opponent. Pretty excellent. Best way to start the game with a green deck. Now a Copper Longlegs. Well, trades into our Batter Fist, so that's pretty fine for them. They're going to take the trade. Go ahead and get a free equip onto our Aspirant. Have a 3/2 Menace here. Plays poorly into the 2 damage burn spell, but if they have that, they could just hold it up and wait for me to equip it during my turn anyway. So I'm just going to equip it immediately. There's a Fuseling. Comes with an oil counter. Gets another one when their creatures and artifacts die. And gets +X/+O, where X is the number of oil counters on it. I think we're just playing Hoverwings here, buffing the Aspirant and just getting in there with evasive equipped creatures. So hit for 4 past the turn. We have a 4-power Menace creature and a 3-power Flyer. Both of which have 2 toughness, so they don't die to Cinder/Ravager. One of Green-Red's best uncommons. That is, well, that's the only Green-Red multicolor uncommon. It's like a big 5/5 Vigilance that's cheaper for each oil counter on their board, and does 1 damage to all my creatures when they play it. They kill a Furnace Strider? No, they have 4 power. So we haste in a Furnace Strider and just attack in the sky here. Again, the Aspirant only makes equip abilities that target itself cheaper, so I can't move the Batter Fist to the Flyer right now. But that would be a solid play if I could move it to the Flyer and then move it back when I pass the turn. We do want to try to keep our creatures above 1 toughness against the Green-Red deck. But while they're tapped out, we just want to get extra damage in. Sure, just go wild. The chimney rabble. Alright. Doesn't block in the sky. Get another mana off of Cultivator for a Canker Bloom. That can blow up our Hover Wings. And it can do it at instant speed. That is really bad for me. Probably disrupt that. They have to spend 1 mana and activate this, sacrifice it. So that is an activated ability, so Plane of Disruption will stop that from working. Seems like the line, and I even have a Blazing Crescendo to play on my Aspirants. Probably want to hold up all my mana for now, attack with everybody and Crescendo wherever I need it. Then we disrupt the Canker Bloom later, because they're not going to let it die here most likely. So we use our Crescendo to kill some other creatures, have a little bit more mana up for if we want to play something else instead. It's going to be 7 power, 6 toughness. Yeah, so we'll trade into all those. Kill everything but Canker Bloom on the board. Yeah, that seems ideal. Oh, and a War Whip is the draw? I can play that until the end of my next turn. Yeah, the end of my next turn, so I can just play that next turn. And disrupt Canker Bloom for now. Yeah, I think I disrupt Canker Bloom. And then I play War Whip next turn. Yeah, they're just going to scoop them up. They are over it. We are 2-1 now as we head into game number 4. Game 4 now on the play. Tap land into Duelist, into Aspirant, into Hover Wings. Seems excellent to me. Playing against a white deck of some kind. I think I play the Duelist before the Justiciar. I guess most of their blockers are probably trades for Justiciar at least. Not gonna get buffed till 4 though. What 2-drop do you have? No idea. With no information, I think I just play Duelist here. If I had like my War Whip, some kind of 3 mana, yeah, I was gonna say if I had a 3 mana artifact to play, then the Justiciar would be better because then I would attack with a 3/2 this turn instead of not attacking into a 1/3. But outside of that, I think Duelist to Deep Faith is better. Basilisk, a lot of 1/3s from our opponent. Now we play our Hover Wings. Could go Justiciar plus Crescendo, but that doesn't really do anything against 6 toughness. So Hover Wings it is. And we'll start sending in our own flyer. So green-white toxic stuff from our opponent. They have the Ichorspit Basilisk to try to get some poison counters on us potentially. Mainly just going to be a death-touching blocker here. And the Incisor Glider, if they ever corrupt us, they will be buffing their whole board every time they attack. I think we should be in the better aggressive position in general, though. We definitely send our 3/2, offer the trade into the Raptor, and then do some stuff post-combat. I'll send in the Aspirant as well, that also offers a trade into the Raptor. I mean, honestly, Duelist doesn't even block well, so we might as well send in the whole squad. Okay. Do I take the kill on the Incisor Glider? I have no other way to use all my mana, so I think I do. Get that out of the way immediately here. Okay. Now Justiciar and pass the turn. There's a rib skiff. Through 3, I believe, so they'd have to tap both their creatures to be able to block with a 4/4. Oh, and if they just slam in, then I guess we're corrupted. But that can't block, so we hit for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually hit even harder because I can equip War Whip to Aspirant because it's cheaper to do so. Which means I'm going to do double strike and an extra power. This is a lot of damage. Oh my god, just put them to 1. Good lord. Yeah, I would say that Bladehold War Whip was a pretty good draw there. And particularly great with Aspirant's ability. Well, really just Aspirant's ability to make the ability cheaper to target it, and then also the Hoverwing's ability to give +1/+0. Both of those working together there was pretty disgusting. Really nasty aggressive stuff that game. We are now 3-1. Round 5 now, we've got Batterfist and some Duelists to slam down early, and then a Strider late game. Good to me. I'm going to go Duelist into Batterfist, because if I want to be attacking with a 3/1, I can just put the Batterfist on the Duelist, and a 3/1 first strike is better than a 3/1 without first strike, so... Duelist into Batterfist it is. That 1 mana equip cost of the Batterfist is just excellent. It's so cheap to move that around and make plays like that. That let us use all 3 of our mana. Churning Reservoir, no creatures from our opponent yet. Okay, I believe I am gonna slap a Batterfist on the Duelist. I have a first striking 3-power creature. Our opponent may just have a burn spell to kill the Duelist, but it would kill it with or without a Batterfist on it. Hex Gold Slash would do 4 damage to it. It only has 2 toughness. They could also just have the Skull Bomb's activated ability, and that seems to be the thing. I think if they had the burn spell, they would have just killed the Duelist there. Alright, turn 3, their 3rd mountain. They are mono red for now, and they play a Kuldotha Cackler. Pretty great with the Churning Reservoir on the board. That can keep putting an oil counter on one of their artifacts or creatures. They've got an oil counter on 1 card. It only gets bigger on attacks, though, so it's not going to help our opponent block any better here. So we'll play our tap land on our Duelist, but we only get to attack with our 3-power creature now that they have a 3 toughness creature. Next turn should be a lovely attack, though. I might as well move this over to the other Duelist. I guess I could put it on the Rebel so that I can block Cackler, but I still want it on a first striker on attacks. And I'm obviously not going to have an extra mana up next turn since I'll be casting Furnace Strider for all 5 of my mana. Alright, there's the 4th land from our opponent. It is a 4th mountain. Mono red oil right now. Koth Fire of Resistance. That explains the mono red, and that's a very, very big issue. Basically starts at 6 loyalty with that +2, and if it gets to 7 or more, then every mountain, every land draw in their deck is also a premium removal spell, dealing 4 damage to any target, so we need to do what we can to kill Koth here. If I don't kill Koth this turn, then if I just threaten Koth with some damage, Koth can at least -3 and kill one of my creatures. So we go Furnace Strider plus Haste, attack Koth with Strider, a 3/1 first striking Duelist. They could chump block one of them with Cackler to keep Koth around. Koth would take at least 3. I guess I do need to kind of sacrifice my 2/2 Rebel to make sure that Koth dies here. So I think that's what we'll do. So by doing this, Koth dies no matter what. And by attacking like this, my opponent already has a free block to kill something by just blocking Duelist. So if they're going to have a free block anyway, I might as well send 2 damage at them. I could alternatively send the Rebel at Koth and don't attack with Duelist. So I let them kill the Rebel for free and lose just the token. But I think the Duelist isn't that much better than just a 2-2 with no text right now. So because I'm going to lose something anyway, I might as well get some extra damage into their face here. Although, I guess if they chump Furnace Strider instead of taking the free kill, then Koth takes 5 and goes to 1 loyalty. Play it extra safe and just mega kill Koth here. I think it might be better to just do 2 more damage to them, but I'm just going to be really, really safe and just overkill Koth. But this just makes them very easily just choose to kill Duelist. It's a Furnace Punisher, a 3/3 menace from our opponent. And that is the play. Drawn to a land. I think we filter for the Furnace first. That is 6 toughness and 5 power, so they can double block Strider pretty well now. Oh, there's my own Furnace Punisher. Ace that out, they have to double block it, we just trade Punishers. And that does not seem bad at all. Kind of want to just play Engraver and move Batterfist though as an alternate option and just attack with the Rebel token for a 1-for-1 trade. Then have Engraver ready to start looting, discarding these lands to draw more cards. Probably just keep the pressure on here though. Yeah, let's keep the pressure on. I guess we'll let them do a double block to kill Strider and we hit for 6 if they go for that block. So haste out the Punisher, they take 6 if they go for that block. Double block on Strider. Yeah, I think I'm doing it here. Kill the Punisher, the creature that doesn't have oil on it, so they don't get another goblin. All the extra oil on this Cackler is just mega redundant. Skull Bomb's sorcery speed, right? Yep, all the Skull Bombs are sorcery speed. Perfect. That could put oil counters on one of their cards, but again, only as a sorcery, so they can't put oil onto the Punisher to get the Goblin off of the Churning Reservoir. By getting a Goblin because an oiled up card died. Alright, kill the Furnace Punisher, hit for 6, they're down to 8. Another Kuldotha Cackler. They have 2 more cards left in hand. They are going to start sending this one in, get 4 damage in. No blocks. Indoctrination Attendant is a pretty good draw. You've got exactly 6 mana to play that and replay the Barbed Batterfist. I'm thinking that's the line. That means I don't have mana to move the fist around here, so we just attack with our 2 creatures that can, and then we do it post-combat. Volt Charge on my Furnace Punisher. Take 3, they're down to 5. They're also at 4 poison, but at 5 life it's not likely to matter. It's just, yeah, it's, I think, more poison than I've done so far. And then the Attendant plus Batterfist line works out incredibly here. We have a pretty wide board state. If they don't play any more blockers, they are exactly dead on board. They go block, block, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, there's a blocker right there, and it's one that can give lifelink, which is massive here. Oh my god, we actually just lose if we don't find a way to interact with that combo. We might outrace it a tiny bit, but Skitterfang guarantees lifelink onto one of the Cacklers each turn, which attacks at like 7 power right now. And they can just keep putting the Churning Reservoir's oil counters on the Skitterfang to never not have lifelink. So they'll be at 11 here, and then how do I crack back? I send everybody in, they block the 2 3-power creatures and just take 5? I guess I have to just start blocking the Cacklers. Skitterfang off the top. Incredible for our opponent here. Now I think we're just behind now. Because life totals are even just immediately now. They gain 6, they're at 11, we take 5, we're at 11. And I actually have to block things, which means that the reservoir is going to be spitting out some goblin tokens. Yeah, Skitterfang just nuts on this board state with these Cacklers and the reservoir. That is not a good time for us. Okay, cycle the Skull Bomb away. At least that's one less oiled up card for the Cackler. They obviously can't afford to lose the Skitterfang right now. We just need a 3-power blocker. This is going to attack as a 4 power, so it'll kill anything I leave up, so I think we're just going to put the Batterfist on the Rebel as a blocker. An attack with Attendant. Because if they want to kill Attendant when we attack with it, they have to lose Skitterfang. Whereas losing Attendant to block Cackler is a lot worse than blocking Cackler with a Rebel. Even if I get trampled a bit. So yeah, they can make some double blocks here to kill either one of these, but if they do, we kill the Skitterfang. I guess they could double block with Cackler and the Goblin on Duelist. But then I kill Cackler, so that's also fine. Yep, we do that. Then we're going to play Engraver and put the Batterfist on our 2/2 Rebel. So we have a 3-power blocker for Kuldotha Cackler number 2. I think this is actually Cackler number 1. I think that's the first one they played. That's the old one. The OG. So they're going to go back down to 5 and up to 6 poison if they don't block here. But if they do make blocks, then we might be killing one of their important creatures. They have a fine chump block with the little goblin token because they can get more from Reservoir later, but some hard blocks if they actually want to kill one of our creatures. Alright, so they are going to let that damage in. We'll drop the Engraver, move the Batterfist to the 2/2, and pass the turn. Not playing our land so we can discard it to Engraver next turn. And it looks like our opponent has left the game, so that, I guess, is going to be the 4th victory. We are now ahead in terms of win rate, and we will be breaking even at worst in terms of prize support. 1,400 gems and 3 packs for the 1,500 gem entry fee. So sweet stuff so far, but let's see if we can keep keeping it up as we head into round number 6. Alright, so here we are for round number 6. This is gonna have to be a mulligan. The only thing we know we can play is Engraver. Even if I do hit the white source, I have Engraver into Justiciar, and I need to hit another land to do anything outside of that. And these aren't the most aggressive of our 2 drops. Plated Onslaught also winning 2 white sources in an opening hand with 0 is really bad, so we will have to take the mulligan here. This is significantly better. I think we have to get rid of the combat trick, the Blazing Crescendo here. Guess I could get rid of Mountain. I mean, we have Slash, Batterfist, and Crescendo, even without another land, then Crescendo might let us hit another. That's like a bit risky. There's some risk reward to that. Keeping Crescendo with 1 castable creature feels a little extra risky. If it's just 2 lands, the only thing I can play is Batterfist, and if they just kill it with removal, then Crescendo just sits here doing nothing until quite a bit later. I guess I only need to hit 1 land, and my opponent is on the play, so we're on the draw. Yeah, I'm gonna dump a land here. Uh-oh, we drew a premium 3-drop. If I had War Whip in hand, I would have slam dunk throwed Crescendo on bottom, because playing that turn 3 is really important. Aspirant, a little more iffy, a little more whatever. Slash that Siphoner immediately, keep ourselves unpoisoned for now. Well, we top decked the land, so, you know, never punished. Never punished today. We'll take it. We are against a blue deck, though, which is one of the better colors against for Mirrodin specifically. Color's not great in the format in general, but it does have some quite solid bounce spells. So if my opponent has any of those, they can kill our tokens pretty freely, and they should have a good time doing that. I think I'll trade my token into the long legs here if they want to do that. So I like the idea of being able to play War Whip and Crescendo next turn, potentially. Probably won't happen, but it's possible. If I hit another red source. And worst case scenario, I can play War Whip and still move the Batterfist around, at least. And this is playing around a potential random bounce spell to kill a token. Planar Disruption. Well, I can War Whip and Disruption. This is a triggered ability though, so they'll still be able to proliferate, but just stopping this from ever poisoning us or doing anything seems fine to me. So War Whip Disrupt here. Perfectly reasonable. My opponent plays a bigger creature next turn, and then I Crescendo to beat it. Oh, I forgot about my free Batterfist equip. I should have hit them for 3 instead of 2. That was loose. We have done that earlier today. I know it is a thing. I don't know why. It just did not cross my mind there. Another Batterfist. 4 mana to put the whip onto the aspirants. I want to hold up Crescendo for now, I think. I can just kill the Rot Priest if they block. If they don't block, I might still just Crescendo, honestly. Definitely if they do. Indoctrination Attendant is the hit. Well, we don't get to play that right now, which is unfortunate, because I also don't get to play Batterfist. Yeah, that's kind of rough. I could play Attendant, pick up my Mountain, and play Batterfist next turn, though, so that kind of makes up for it in terms of spiciness. Not if they glare Aspirants, and Glare is really good here because they had a pacified creature anyway, so kind of a free sacrifice. Well, I guess we're picking up this Batterfist instead of a Mountain. We do get a nice and easy attack here against their 2/2, though. They do not have good blocks, they'll just take 4 most likely. There's no pacts in this format, no 0 mana instants. There actually were in the last Phyrexian format in New Phyrexia. There was like mutagenic growth. You could pay 2 life to cast it for free and it would give +1/+1. That would actually trade there. Gut Shot, you could pay 2 life to deal 1 damage to any target. Those cards were pretty absurd though. So they kind of stopped doing those. Nim Razor Paladin, very good here. Picks up the Toxic Observer and gives them a gigantic 4/4 blocker. We are likely... I guess I could play a Scamp and... I don't have 2 red sources again. I can only play one of these cards. That's actually pretty bad. Okay, so they only have a chump block or a trade for our 2/2, so that definitely gets in. So I think we're on Batter Fist, put the Fist on Attendant, and then they have the same, a chump block or a trade for that. Sorry, Furnace Punisher. And then next turn I'm also open to throwing a Cacophony Scamp at something for 2 damage if that's going to end up being a reasonable play. Alright, trade into the Paladin and we will deal 4 damage to them. Batterfist fell off, so move it over. They are not in red, so they're not going to have any of the 1 damage to everything. They could have the black -1/-1 instant. Feels kind of unlikely. It seems like green-blue mostly with a black splash. No, never mind. Only 2 cards in hand, though, so the odds of them having that Whisper of the Dross are kind of low. I think I'm still putting the Batterfist on the double striker. Threaten even more damage. Venomous Brutalizer, so 4/4 on the board. Couple Cacophony Scamps, that's 4 damage right there. With these Batter Fists. So trade into Brutalizer still. If I hit them for 3, they'll die to these Scamps over time. Probably just play a Punisher though, just play a Menace card. So they can go trade if I attack with both, or they can go free kill chump. I think I'm just attacking with the 1 creature and playing our Menace threats. Cool, there's the trade. Here's the Menace threat. We suit up the Menace card. There's the Tainted Observer, it's back. There's the second red for double Scamp here. Attack with everybody. They can double block the Punisher and take 3 and then die to double Scamp, or they can't block Punisher and then they'll die to double Scamp anyway. Alright, I hope you're ready for this, because this is going to be spicy. Cacophony Scamp. Cacophony Scamp. Put a Batterfist onto a Scamp so it dies and shoots any target for 2 damage. Put a Batterfist onto a Scamp so it dies and does 2 damage to any target. And that's game. That is our 5th win as well, so we are in the money. Excellent stuff. From the Bladehold Warwhip Barbed Batterfist deck. Here we are in game 7. I think I'm going to keep this hand. Turn 1 Cacophony Scamp, turn 2 Duelist no matter what. Hit 1 land, we then Aspirant after that. We are hoping to keep hitting lands. If I just hit lands every turn, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting with Gauntlet. There's a land, so we get to go 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop at least. Not on the play, so not the most devastating curve or the most devastating rollout, but I think it'll still play pretty well. Atmosphere Surgeon. Alright, Scamp plays perfectly fine into that. Oh, now I have a Warwhip I can play as well. Trade into the Surgeon, do a damage to their face, or hit them for 1. Either way is fine. I am not going to... I guess I could sack this to trade into Surgeon. I can force the trade. That's really interesting, actually. This card's better than I thought. It might be worth it to just force the trade here. Sure. Surgeon off the board. Tainted Observer. Well, sorry, Duelist. You are not going to get in. The Aspirant here. Because 2/2 Double Strike doesn't get past the 2/3 either. Yeah, get our Menace creature going. And our cost reduction on the whip. So another green-blue deck. This one seems much more green-blue, whereas the other one was green-blue and black. Black being a heavy part of the last deck. They are going to get us poisoned here. We're down to 18 and we have 1 poison counter. And they pass the turn, holding up a bunch of mana. You can play around the counter unless you pay 2 by playing our 2-drops. Feels like the line. Do I play around instant speed removal on Aspirant and go for the War Whip pre-combat? Can't think of what they would do to kill this at instant speed. They could have Chrome Prowler here, tap it down so I can't attack. Alright. And I still get in for 2, whichever one they tap. The other one attacks in freely. It's not bad at all. Alright. 2 damage. I'm gonna go Whip Duelist. Oh, you know what would be a sweet draw here? Our +2/+1 all our creatures thing. Carnivorous Canopy main deck. Does get us. I've played one of those main deck before as well. Actually plays decently. Not a high priority at all, but has a 23rd inclusion. There's usually enough targets to justify it. So, we are definitely sad to see it though. On the plus side, what... Oh, I did say I wanted this, but I actually can't afford it because they killed my artifact. That's so sad. Yeah, that would have been nasty here. We still attack really well against just a 3/2 right now. We're still doing fine. They're gonna Titanic Growth into the Duelist. Sure are. So we'll trade our 2-mana creature for their 2-mana combat trick. Perfectly reasonable, and then we drop our Attendant. Nothing good to pick up, so we just pick up a land and replay it for next turn. And now we have an artifact out because we have that Might token, so Plated Onslaught should be massive next turn if our opponent doesn't have a counter spell for it. Tyranax Atrocity, that's going to soak up all their mana. That means no counter spell for our opponent. They block 1 creature, take 4, 8, 12. Oh yeah, they're super dead. No blocks, attack with everybody, cast Onslaught. Well over lethal. And that is victory number 6. We are 6-1 now, heading into the final boss with another round in the chamber if we fail. Very good spot to be heading into the final boss. Alright, here we are in what could be the final round. We are on the play with turn 2 Duelist into turn 3 Batterfist. We have seen that interaction before, and it's a pretty good one. Happy to keep this hand and see where it goes from here. Crawling Chorus, turn 1 from our opponent. Not the greatest for us. But I've got my 2/2 to try to block it. If they have Chorus into the +2/+2 combat trick, that will be pretty nasty. And that pretty much guarantees that. That's no blocks there. Go for it. Okay, Flesh Cutter, not the scariest thing ever. Gives them creatures that can't block. We can try to outrace that. Especially if I play Justiciar here and get a lifelinker on the board. Feels like I still just want to play Batterfist though. 3 power first striking duelist is just very good. Next turn we're probably on Disruption Justiciar. They're gonna go all in, slap the Flesh Cutter onto the Crawling Chorus? No, they're just gonna pass. Well, Chimney Rabble is an excellent draw. Yeah, super clear line now. We just play a Chimney Rabble and then slam that all attack button. And we'll still have a blocker for Chorus if we need it. This might be the first Chimney Rabble we've cast today. Kind of wild. Here comes the +2/+2 draw a card trick. No, offer Immortality is what it is. That's actually better for us. I would have been more disappointed if it was the draw a card trick. It's only a tiny bit better for us, but I feel like them drawing another card is a little bit better than them keeping the 1/1 on board. Testament Bearer, that's pretty good. We will probably disrupt that, because when that dies, they'll dig for another card. Ooh, I can disrupt that and slash the other blocker. Although Chorus can't block either of these well, so we could just disrupt that and then play Justiciar and hold up the slash for another creature later. That feels excellent. Shump time. Turns into a Might that can't block. They can slap Flesh Cutter on something, but it's just going to make more creatures that can't block. Yep, Flesh Cutter onto the Might. Send it in, why not? No blocks. I guess I could trade my Goblin into it, that would have been fine. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 from lethal? Yeah, I should have just traded my Goblin because I couldn't find lethal here either way. I don't think I'm sacking the Furnace here. I think I'm playing Engraver and holding up Slash. Just send in the squad. Yeah. That was one not ideal line. I think overall, I think every other line was probably accurate, but Goblin on the Might was definitely a block there, because we're definitely killing them in 2 attacks either way. We don't need the Goblin around to add more damage, and by trading there, we would like really stop them from going wild with Corrupted and stuff. I guess I could just slash that, play it really safe. If they have some kind of card that's going to keep them in the game if we become Corrupted, and only if we become Corrupted. Okay, well, now we're getting Corrupted either way, but let's see. So let's see how much that Goblin trade would have mattered. It does not. That's the GG from opponent. We'll give them the GG back. And send in the squad. And that's just going to be game. That was pretty nasty. Most of those games where we were on the play did not feel super close. Some of those were really, really close, hard-fought matches, though. Some of them went pretty long as well. So there was a nice variety there. Some spicy back-and-forth long matches with some intense thinking. Most of the late games, though, like win 3 onward or 4 onward, most of these were just... We were like on the play and we just steamrolled. We just went 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, or 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, 5 drop, something like that. Curved out like nobody's business. The red-white equipment deck doing some disgusting things. Do we have anything to say about the deck today? Anything we really learned? Barbed Batterfist is a hell of a card. 2 drops are at a premium in this format. Those are some things that we definitely showed off. We knew those things already, but really, Duelist of Deep Faith into Barbed Batterfist, the turn 2, turn 3 play, that was pretty exceptional multiple times today. Obviously, Hexgold Slash was great. Disruption was great. Even with only those 2 removal spells, we were doing plenty fine. Played at Onslaught, just completely blew our opponent out in one game. I think every single card in the deck really got to show off its viability in its own way. Justiciar actually kind of ended up being the weakest card. I guess it's kind of tied with the Engravers. They didn't do too much either. But everything else, Gleeful Demolition actually ended up just being probably probably bad. We drew it one time and it was just too late to do anything that one time that we drew it. So Demolition was kind of the only card that didn't get to show up and do its thing. Justiciar and Engraver kind of just hung out for the most part, but Demolition just actively did nothing. The Scamps were hilarious, being able to do the Cacophony Scamp and the Batterfist combo a couple times. So yeah, that was just a sweet time. The War Whips, these uncommon 4 and artifacts, are just nasty, nasty cards. Those were our biggest quote-unquote bombs. We don't have any bomb rares or mythics or anything in here, but you don't need them if you have a super synergistic, super aggressive deck. There are two kind of facets to the format. There's kind of the bomb-oriented aspects of the format and the aggro-oriented aspects, and if you lean into one or the other, you should have a pretty good time. So we definitely leaned into the aggro and got some major mileage out of these premium uncommons. So, great draft today. Had a super fun time, and I'm legitimately just excited to draft the format again. Very controversial format. Again, because it's highly aggressive, and there are some very explosive bombs that just can't really be beat, like White Sun's Twilight and some of the Planeswalkers and stuff like that, but there's just some cool synergy stuff you can do. So it's still been pretty fun for me thus far, and I'm excited to draft it again, but for now, that's going to end today's video. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see some more, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you some more of these videos in your recommended feeds. If you'd like to hang out with me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, where I am live a couple times a week. And if you would like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below, as these patrons on screen did as well. Outside of that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.